first album, 1995, 17 years from now. If you listen to that album, have you listened to it before you reformed and recorded this album?
Mainly we listen to it when we're putting the tour together because we have to go back and play those songs again.
Is that what you mean? Hear?
I still think it sounds pretty cool. And I think we realized that there's not much that's come along that really sounds, nobody's really come along that sounds just like that. And we said, wow, you know, we kind of had our own thing going there, and we should be proud of that and honor it, and not try to change too much from, you know, that's a good thing to have your own identity.
And what do you hear when you listen to yourself singing on that album?
You know, I hear uncertainty, I suppose, and an excitement, you know, that was there when we were making that record. And I mean, a lot of things, you know, when you listen to stuff you've done from way back, the connections are really emotional, you know. Everything that went on from the beginning of that record to promoting that record and the success of that record is always there when I listen to it. You know, I can't really divorce myself enough to listen to it really subjectively.
And the second album, were you really a united force, or was it also with the first album?
We've always been a united force, but by the second record we had a lot of confidence. You know, the first record had blown up all over the world, and we had this kind of crazy momentum and an energy.
How come? How come?
Well, just because, you know, when people get behind your band en masse, that's an incredibly empowering feeling. You know, it's really exciting when you've been a musician, as we all had been from when we were really young. Nobody had come to our shows, you know, nobody showed any interest in buying our records, and then all of a sudden you get all this success. You know, it can be it can either crush you or it can just lift you up, and I think for version 2.0 it sort of lifted us up.
Mm-hmm.
How come it didn't crush you?
It was still exciting at that point, and thrilling, and, you know, just the thought that we were going to make an album and we knew people were going to hear it. Because the first album, we didn't really know what was going to happen. Maybe it would have sold 10 copies, and that would have been it. But and when we were making the second one, it was like, wow, this is at least going to get heard. And we've got to make it really good. And
but did it also have something to do with you being a little bit older than bands are when they explode? I mean, you already had a life behind you, because maybe that's also why it didn't crush you. I don't know.
Yeah, although I think, you know, a lot of artists, their second records are the sort of real realization of themselves, in a funny way. You know, I think that defines, you know, the people who are good musicians but not really capable of holding the pressure. You know, because there's a lot of pressure when you become successful, a lot of criticism that's difficult to stomach. You know, I mean, it takes a certain beast to not only be able to make another record, but to also want to go out and get criticized again, you know.
Yeah.
So I think the most successful bands are not ever necessarily the most talented, you know. That's just unfortunately the way it is. It's really fragile people make amazing records, but they can't put their force behind them and reach a bigger audience because they're too vulnerable, too fragile.
How come the sound that you had with your first album, how come people really en masse stood behind it and liked it? Have you analyzed this for yourself? Looking back on maybe, the time?
For me, I don't think we know.
You still don't know?
You know, we tried to do something that pleased the four of us and was a combination of all the different things that we know and love, and different styles of music and stuff that we listen to, and that's what we wanted to do. And I don't know, it seems to have appealed, but you can't really go in and
Well, I think it was a
it,
cultural zeitgeist in a way. I mean, I definitely think we captured people's imaginations because we were one of the first bands to sort of merge the new technology with, you know, we used the new technology in a way that hadn't been used before. And we sampled, you know, hip hop beats and electronica and merged them with indie rock guitars. And that really hadn't been done up until that point. You know, it was a fresh sound. And I think because we were all starting to buy computers and the world was really changing fast. I think we were lucky enough to make a sound that captured people's imaginations.
And to have a strong female up front, I think we were all kind of sick of the grunge thing where it was just guys screaming all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I guess other people were too.
You agree?
Well, certainly in America, I think there
Right.
hadn't been a lot of women front people for a while who, I mean, I stuck out like a sore thumb because I was wearing like pink mini skirts and boots at a time when all the girls were like wearing, you know, check shirts and like the Riot Girl movement, I guess. So I guess it was quite fresh for people.